Good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the Auburn Conservation Commission, and this is the April 14, 2021 meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Michelle Colross.
Here.
Nathan Rand.
Present.
Patrick Cunningham.
Here.
Okay. And Tom Fallon is not here, Allison Holmes is not here, and neither is Tony Romney. We also have town officials and employees participating, so when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Building Commissioner Caleb Moody.
Here.
Land Use Clerk Ginger Butow.
Here.
And Director of everything, Darlene Coyle.
Here. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. So good evening, everyone. This open meeting of the Auburn Conservation Commission of Wednesday, April 14, 2021 is now called order about 7:02 p.m. This meeting is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the ongoing state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted with agenda materials for this meeting on the town's website, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. For this meeting, the Conservation Commission is convening by remote participation for the public only, although some staff may be physically located in the Selectmen's meeting in the Town Hall. Those town employees are practicing social distancing in accordance with the governor's orders. For the public to join the meeting remotely by telephone, call 1-408-650-3123 and enter access code 942-845-549. Or the public can join via computer at gotomeeting.com/join/942-845-549. The remote access information has also been posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please also note that this meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. So accordingly, for those members of the commission, employees, and members of the public who participate, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you, and please take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. I would also add that unless you want to be heard, you should keep your microphones on mute, and then when you're called upon, unmute your microphones and then proceed. All supporting materials have been provided to members of this body and are available on the town's website, and the public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. So we are going to now begin with the first item on the agenda. Before we do so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. So I, as chairman of the commission, will introduce each speaker on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will go down the line of members, inviting each by name or inviting inquiry to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called or until you volunteer. Please remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate meeting minutes. For any response, please wait until I, as the chair, yield the floor to you and state your name before speaking. And if members wish to engage in discussion with other members, please do so through me, taking care to identify yourself. So after members of the commission have spoken, I will afford public comment as follows. I will first ask members of the public who wish to speak to identify their names and addresses only. And once we have a list of public commentators, I will call on each by name and afford 3 minutes for any comments. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote. So having said that, the first item on tonight's agenda is a 7 p.m. public hearing for Alliance Environmental Group, a request to amend existing order conditions for periodic on-site vehicle washing activities at 33 Sword Street in Auburn, Massachusetts. Now, I have been advised by Ms. Butow that the applicant has requested a 2-week extension of this public hearing. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so what time has a time been assigned for them?
Right. We'll do 7:10.
Okay. So is there a motion to continue the public hearing for Alliance Environmental Group to April 28th at 7:10 p.m.?
I move that we continue this public hearing for Alliance until our next meeting. Sorry. I don't know, what's the date again?
It's April 28th.
April 28th at 7:10 PM.
Okay, and that was Michelle. Thank you, Michelle.
Yes, this is me, Michelle. Yes.
Yes, indeed it is. Is there a second?
This is Nathan. I'll second.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay. Michelle, how do you vote?
I vote for it. Yay.
Okay. Nathan, how do you vote?
Yay.
Patrick, how do you vote?
I vote yea.
Okay, and I also vote aye, so the motion carries and it's a vote. So that matter will be continued to 4/28 at 7:10 p.m. Okay. We have a few minutes before our next public hearing at 7:10 p.m. Okay, before we take up the 7:10 public hearing, we have received a request from Agilitas Energy to extend their order of conditions for 476 Leicester Street. Members of the commission, this was information that would have been contained in your packet. And so apparently, as I read this, the project is substantially completed. There have to be tie-ins between the solar farm and National Grid, which requires the installation of utility poles on Lot 1 that is attached to the plan. And it appears that this request was filed back on or about March 15th. The order of conditions did expire at the end of March. Because the request to extend was filed before the end of the order of conditions or the expiration date, it is considered timely. Is there a motion to extend the order of conditions for 476 Leicester Street?
I move to
Nathan.
extend. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Patrick.
I move to extend the order conditions for 476 Leicester Street.
Okay. And is there a second? That was Patrick.
I'll second. This is Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Ginger, for what period of time would that be? Would that be 2 years?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any discussion? There being none, I'm going to go through the list of members and ask for your vote. Michelle, how do you vote on this motion to extend?
Aye.
Okay. Nathan, how do you vote?
Aye.
Patrick, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so it is a vote and the motion carries. Okay. The next item on our agenda is a 7:10 public hearing, Eastland Partners for a notice of intent to construct a subdivision at 50 and 190 Washington Street here in Auburn. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Okay, that's Nathan, thank you. Is there a second?
I second. It's Pat.
Okay. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Michelle, how do you vote?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so it's a vote. All right, who is here on behalf of Eastland Partners?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. On behalf of Eastland Partners, my name is Steve O'Connell from Turning Point Engineering.
evening.
With me here this evening from Eastland Partners is Phil Caraccio, if any information from him is needed as well.
All right, so gentlemen, you're in possession of the report that was done by Arthur Allen of Ecotech dated April 8th of 2021.
Yes, we are.
Okay, and I granted you probably have not had a great deal of time to review it or digest it.
We have actually. But,
And that, have you prepared a written report or a written response to this, sir?
we have not done that. I did speak with Art today. I spoke briefly with Caleb yesterday, and I spoke with Art today. About the contents of his report. What I would like to do to update the commission, if with your permission, Mr. Chairman, is some of the changes to the plans that you will see on a revised set that has been submitted to the planning board, but will be submitted to the commission in the coming days.
Okay, so are you therefore requesting a continuance to public hearing?
No, not yet. We will be, but there's a couple of important issues I think we'd like to just spend a few minutes on related to this property, just so we have a clear direction going forward.
All right, go ahead.
So the one of the significant revisions that is to the plans is that the sewer line proposed for the subdivision going through the property at 50 Washington Street, which required 2 temporary wetland crossings, is going to be no longer proposed as part of the plans. And that reduces the proposed alteration to resource areas below, important permitting thresholds. Discussed that with Art today. And he was happy to hear that. He agreed with my assessment. And we talked about kind of what we needed to do to move forward. It seems since his review that you have on the screen is part of the order, the notice of intent that was submitted for the subdivision, but it also overlaps with the pad-ready site plan order of conditions that was issued by this commission. I feel like it's important that we maybe kind of talk about both, but let's be clear and separate the issues, if I may. So the notice of intent that was submitted for the subdivision, as a reminder to everybody, is an application for permit for work that is in harmony with the order of conditions, issued for the pad-ready site plan that had the wetland crossings and the stream crossing, which some of that work has begun to occur. But the notice of intent is for work that expands upon that already approved work to support the subdivision that's proposed. So that's an open public hearing for that application. And on the other topic of discussion is the order of conditions that the commission has issued for the pad-ready site plan at the 190 Washington Street address. And I think my client is kind of stuck in limbo, and we'd like some direction. So I thought what was a reasonable approach, Art agreed with me by telephone today, is let's identify the issues that seem to be up for discussion. And I think the obvious one is the temporary piping that was installed in the stream as part of the bridge construction. So I don't think we've heard specifically from the commission about where they stand on that issue. And I think the other issue related to the 190 site is some activity related to the beavers, the alleged beaver dam removal or disturbance. So, without some discussion with the commission, it's hard to know where you stand, because if what I think is a solution that is reasonable and productive and good for everybody would be that if the commission's pleasure would be to issue an enforcement order, which would be something that would, is enforceable by the commission, but also gives clear direction to my client about what is expected. And what the enforcement order would do, it would direct my client to do whatever the commission feels is necessary to bring the work at 190 back in compliance with the order of conditions. And if that means to submit an amended request for an amended order of conditions that needs to detail the temporary stream crossing work that's been done, but it'll be retroactive, that's reasonable request. But as we sit here in limbo, nothing is happening at the site. The DPW is reluctant to issue a land disturbance permit. The Caleb is reluctant to issue an earth filling permit, and all the while, the site stays in its condition with some vulnerabilities to runoff and weather. And we'd also puts us in limbo to construct the wetland replication area, which we're just coming into the time of year where we want to do that work. So in my discussion with Art today, he agreed that was a very reasonable solution, that enforcement order would allow the commission to issue, to demand that these things be done, but also demands that some follow-up permitting also be done. All the while, we have the notice of intent application for the subdivision, which again is above and beyond the order of conditions for the pad ready site plan already issued. So I hope that wasn't too much information to digest. I'm trying to keep it kind of compartmentalized. The beaver, as far as we're concerned, the beaver issue is not an issue. We're not seeking beaver trapping. We're not seeking beaver removal. We're not seeking installation of water control devices. If the commission feels that a dam was altered, we could talk about something in the enforcement order to either try to restore the dam, or just the enforcement order says to leave the beavers alone, because they'll certainly reconstruct all dams. That would be reasonable and acceptable as well. But I think that's kind of where we are, and without some direction, we're a little stuck in limbo. And as I mentioned, the site is a little vulnerable, and we cannot, we're stuck because DPW won't issue land disturbance permit, and building department won't issue an earth filling permit, which was the scope of the project.
Understood. So unfortunately, Mr. O'Connell, Art Allen could not be here tonight. We had asked him to attend, and he's a busy man, and he had a conflicting schedule. He did indicate that he would be available on April 28th. As I read his peer review report, he does believe that a plan for beaver control is necessary. And I hear what you're saying about looking for guidance, and I agree with you. But I think we would have a better give and take if he were actually here and was available. what I would suggest to you is, and not to make more work for you, sir, but if you, and your point about us issuing an enforcement order as a means of providing you guidance, I think is not a bad idea by any means. But I was going to suggest that if you yourself have ideas about how to address the issues raised by Mr. Allen's peer review, then I would encourage you to do that. I mean, I would just say to you that that I'm not inclined, and I'm speaking only for myself, but I'm not inclined really to consider taking that type of action without a really a full presentation and an exchange of ideas with Mr. Allen, who is our consultant on this. So, and also I note the fact that you, as you indicated, your plans have changed. Granted, they don't directly impact I don't think they impact directly the notice of intent with respect to the sewer line. But again, with your permission, I would like to continue this hearing to April 28th. I would encourage you to respond in writing to Mr. Allen's peer review. Feel free, to the extent that you believe that you and and he have reached a meeting of the minds concerning a potential course of action, include that in your response, and then we can have, I think, a more meaningful dialogue in 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay, is there, do you feel the need to take input from the public, seeing this is a public hearing, Mr. Chairman?
I do. In fact, what I will do is if there are any members of the public, before I turn this over to the public, I would ask members of the commission if they have any questions or comments. So, and again, what I will do is I will just go through the list of our commissioners and ask them if they have any comments. So, Michelle, do you have any comments for Mr. O'Connell? Any questions?
And again, I'm sorry, I haven't been up there. I think that there was a question about making sure that the silt barriers were reinforced, that they were up, but they weren't necessarily reinforced. I can't remember if it was 190. I think it was 190. Has that been reestablished?
Yeah,
Is that
I'm not aware of that I'm not aware that there were any issues, but they are all intact and they are very robust. I encourage you to take a look. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Nathan, do you have any questions for Mr. O'Connell?
No, I don't have any questions at this time.
Okay. Patrick, any questions for Mr. O'Connell?
I have no questions at this time.
Okay. So now that the board has had a chance to be heard, if there are any members of the public that wish to be heard, please identify yourself by your name and also by your address. So if there is any public comment, we're all ears, basically. Well, apparently there is no public comment. So, Mr. O'Connell, do we have your permission to continue the public hearing in this matter to April 28th at, what's a good time, 7:30? Ginger? 7:45? April 28th at 7:45?
That sounds fine, Mr. Chairman. I do have a question if you would entertain it.
Sure, go ahead.
So, and I don't want to jump ahead, but I suspect based on my, experience, doing what I do, that we will end up submitting a request for an amended order to allow the temporary piping in the stream for the crossing. I just think that was an oversight during the original permitting. I think we talked about it, but seeing how it wasn't on a plan and didn't make it in writing anywhere on that, it's being evaluated now as something that was not permitted. So I suspect we will be submitting a request to amend the order. It would be helpful to know if the commission has any objection to the temporary piping that's been installed. My understanding is that you've seen it on a site visit a couple of Saturdays ago. It's pretty common. It was something we had talked about on the site walk. I'd like to know because I'm going to be preparing plans and documents, to illustrate that.
I will say, and again, speaking for myself, that I think while we were surprised to see it, it was obviously there for its intended purpose. It was channeling water while the work was being done. So I personally had no objection to it. I will say that I think it's wise, though, to submit the request for the amended order to take into account the fact that the temporary piping was installed.
Great.
Michelle, have any comments on that?
Well, I guess I have a question, because it looks like it noted from Ecotech, it says that there was an undelineated wetland located up gradient within 100 feet of the sewer line, and I can't see a map. So is that part of this? Is it not going to be part of it going forward because you're taking that out and you're no longer going to be using it?
So the portion of the property that Art is talking about is the property at 50 Washington Street, over adjacent to the Winbrook Mobile Home Park,
Okay, all
all
right.
the way across from the Lundgren Honda
Okay.
driveway. So although 50 Washington Street is technically part of our application because it's part of the subdivision, because we're using a little corner of the land at that address.
Yep.
And since now we're not proposing sewer to go through that property, it's almost kind of irrelevant. But since that property was not the subject of the ANRAD that the commission issued for the 190 property, I think Art in his review, believed that there was an area on the 50 Washington Street property that, he believes, should be delineated. So yeah, this is a perfect map. You can see the delineated wetlands. So that those dashed lines were the sewer line that was going to go kind of easterly and connect to the sewer manhole in Winbrook.
Okay.
So if you go to the bottom right-hand corner of that parcel, that's where Art was talking about. There's a head wall that dumps stormwater out on the property from Route 20. I believe that's the area that Art was referring to, but you can see proximity-wise, we're way away from the subdivision road crossing the stream. So related because it's part of the application, but separate issues in kind of in the same sense, separate, but you're obviously reading Art's report, so that's good.
Okay.
But I don't think it will have any bearing ultimately, because we're revising the work shown on the 50 Washington Street portion of the project.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
All right. Nathan, any questions about the temporary piping in the stream?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. And finally, Patrick, any questions for Mr. O'Connell regarding that issue?
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. That was helpful. I feel like we got some direction, and doesn't sound like the commission has concerns specifically, as long as it's something that can be permitted and is better documented than was previously.
All right. Very good. So, Mr. O'Connell, thank you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to let you know too that as part of the revisions, all of the wetland alterations that would be proposed on this property and this project would not exceed 5,000 square feet. So we'd be under that significant threshold for various levels of permitting. So I think that's important to note, which you'll see in more detail as we submit information.
Very good. All right. If there's nothing else, sir, thank you for attending, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good night.
You have to make the motion to.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
So, there's an agreement with the applicant to continue the public hearing to April 28th at 7:45 p.m. Is there a motion to continue the public hearing to April 28th at 7:45 p.m.?
I make a motion to continue the public hearing for 190 Washington Street to April 28th at 7:45 p.m.
All right. Thank you, Nathan. Is there a second?
I second. It's Pat.
Thank you, Pat. All those in favor signify when I call you. Michelle?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye. It's a vote, the motion carries. So we will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is 7:15 public hearing. Tech Associates for request for determination of applicability for vegetation control along the Providence and Worcester Railroad right-of-way in Auburn. Is there a motion open?
I move to open. This is Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Is there a second?
I second. It's Pat.
Okay, Pat. And when I call you, please signify yea or nay. Michelle?
Aye.
I know. Nathan?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so it's a vote. Is there anyone here on behalf of Tech Associates to make this presentation?
Yes, this is Tom Lewis. I'm here.
Hello, Mr. Lewis. So good evening, sir. And why don't you tell us what you want to do?
So thanks for having me. I am, as you said, Tom Lewis with Tech Associates. I'm here on behalf of the PW Railroad. Just to give you a little bit of background, railroads in the Commonwealth manage their vegetation under the rights of way regulation. And as part of that, they're required to have a vegetation management plan, which is a 5-year document that's reviewed and approved by the Department of Agricultural Resources, as well as the VMP advisory panel. In conjunction with that, they're obligated to go to each municipality and file a request for determination in order to verify the boundary delineations of wetland and water supply resource areas. So that's why I'm here tonight.
Okay.
Just as a point, I'm not sure what map you have up there, but that's not my map that I submitted.
Okay. That's it.
There we go. There's
Okay.
actually two sheets there.
Correct. So I'm curious, how many miles of railway go through Auburn?
On the south end at the Oxford line, milepost 63, and at the north end, it's a little more than 68. So it's about 5.5 miles roughly.
Okay. And if you apparently the representation in your letter, Mr. Lewis, is that the wetlands were last delineated back in 2016. Is that right?
They were, right. And I'll be going out again to reestablish all the plates and the permanent markings just before any application is made, just to verify that they're all there, and
Okay.
any of the faded or damaged markers get reestablished.
Were you involved in the process back in 2016?
I was.
Okay. So a question that typically comes up when we get these applications or requests for determination is what type of herbicide or what type of chemicals are being used to control the vegetation. And do you have any information regarding that?
I do. Actually, it's not the same every year. It varies from year to year.
Okay.
What I can tell you is all the products used are listed on the mass.gov website. There's a sensitive area materials list, as the state calls it. And those are the only products that can be used in a buffer zone or a sensitive area, which would be, for example, a zone 2 wellhead protection area. It varies from year to year, the products that get used, and that can be dependent upon whether it's going to be a pre-emergent or a post-emergent application. But what I can tell you is every year you do get a copy of a yearly operational plan that specifies each product, the concentrations, provides access to all the STS sheets and so forth. So that's actually going to be coming to you probably within the next week. And then once you receive that, there's a 45-day public comment period where naturally anybody from the public can make comments on that plan before it's considered approved by the Department of Agricultural Resources.
Okay. Would you have any objection to continuing the public hearing in this matter for 2 weeks so that we can actually receive that document?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And if you had any interest of getting out there on the tracks and taking a site walk, I can coordinate that with the railroad and we can review that together.
Okay. And how do we do that? Do we actually get on a hand cart and do we go along the track?
We can do it
Probably
one
not.
of two ways. It wouldn't be a hand cart, but they do have high rail trucks that ride up and down the rails. Although with COVID right now, they're limiting it to 4 people. So we wouldn't be able to accommodate the entire commission, but we could accommodate 1 or 2 folks.
Okay.
I've been doing that.
That's a possibility. I'll bring it up, or I'll inquire among our members if they want to do that. So
Okay.
then, Ginger, when can we put this on for on the 28th? Okay. So, Mr. Lewis, any objection to continuing this to 7:20 p.m. on April 28th?
Oh, that's fine.
Perfect. All right. And is there a motion to continue the public hearing for Tech Associates to April 28th at 7:20 p.m.?
I move that we continue Tech Associates to April 28th at 7:20 p.m. This is
Okay. Is
Michelle.
there a second? Thank you, Michelle. Is there a second?
I second. It's Pat.
All right, Pat. When I call your name, please signify by saying aye or nay. Michelle?
Aye.
Nathan?
Aye.
Patrick?
Aye.
And I also vote aye, so it's a vote and the motion carries. All right, Mr. Lewis, some of our members are not present tonight. I think the idea of actually being able to go on the track and observe these areas is a good one. And we have your contact information, so we will be in touch. Are you based in Portland, Maine?
No, I'm in Central Mass. My company's
Okay.
out of South Portland, but I am local.
Okay. Do we have your contact number here, sir?
On the RDA application is my cell phone and my email. So if you want to propose a couple of dates and shoot them to me, I'll coordinate that with the railroad.
All right. Again, I'll confer with the members of the commission, and we will get back to you. Thank you, sir.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too.
The next item on our agenda, which is not a public hearing, is a letter which we received from National Grid relating to maintenance activities along a transmission line right of way. And basically, they don't have to get permission from us. They're pretty much just notifying us of what they intend to do. It appears that the work they're proposing will begin sometime this month. And actually will continue, according to their letter, for perhaps as long as a year. So, do any members of the commission, have you had a chance to look at the letter from National Grid, and do you have any questions? And I'll start with Michelle.
Could you pick somebody else so I can read it real quick? Hold on 1 second.
No, I'm not going to do that. Of course. I'm going to pick on Nathan next. Nathan, have you had a chance to look at the letter?
No, I have not.
Okay. Patrick, not to put you on the spot, did you have a chance to read the letter?
I have read the letter. I do not have any questions, as it seems as though they don't require our permission. So there's
No,
very
they
little
don't.
to ask.
Okay. So my suggestion would be this: if anyone, and I would also mention that to other members of the commission not joining us this evening, have any questions regarding the topics covered in the March 12th letter from National Grid, let me know, and we can also get in touch with them because they did provide contact numbers, specifically Alexandria DePaulo at the BSC Group. So, and also Mr. Terrell, who's the lead scientist at New England Power Company. So if you do have any questions, let me know or Ginger know, and we can try to accommodate those concerns of yours. All right, the next matter on our agenda is 498 Rochdale Street. It is my understanding Ecotech had done an evaluation of the property, I believe back in December or January. It was submitted to DEP, and apparently Denise Chow from DEP had gone out to the site, I think along with the owner's representative. My understanding is that the evaluation is still being considered. So there's nothing more specifically I can tell you regarding what DEP's responses to this. I will say that we still have our enforcement order in effect. Fines are still being accrued, and so we have not changed our position with respect to the noncompliance of the property to both our orders of condition and also our enforcement orders. So that's a matter that we will continue or following, and perhaps by the time of our next meeting on April 28th, we will have maybe more guidance at the time. The next item on our agenda is the Auburn Elks Club at 754 Washington Street. We had issued an order of conditions in this matter back in March, and we had provided a copy of the order of conditions. A request was made by the representative for the Elks for a copy of the order of conditions. And we, or more specifically, Ms. Buto, provided that to them with the understanding that it was not to be recorded before the 10-day appeal period had run. We subsequently learned that, in fact, the order of conditions was recorded before the appeal period ran, which caught me by surprise, and frankly, it both disappointed me and it angered me. My suggestion, or my thought was that if there was any misunderstanding about whether or not to follow the law when it comes to an appeal period running before an order of conditions can be recorded, that it should be clarified perhaps in our own regulations. And I note that Mr. Andrade is waiting online. And sir, I don't know what your comments are. As I told you, sir, I was both surprised and disappointed, and also not happy with the fact that it was recorded because, sir, it was my belief at the time that the order of conditions was requested by Graves Engineering or by another engineer at your firm with the purpose of recording, and that was that intent, sir, was misrepresented to Ms. Buto. So if you want to address that, sir, I'll be happy to hear from you.
I would, thank you. First, I just want to apologize to the commission members and to Ginger especially for what occurred. I understand the commission, many of the members may not be familiar with me or my firm. I've been practicing for over 20 years, and I can tell you this situation has never happened before, and I'm sure you it won't again. And not making excuses, it was a crazy morning when that came in, and I heard that it came in, and not thinking clearly at the moment, I asked for it to be recorded and then subsequently forward that to Ginger. And then she correctly called me on it that we should not have done that. So it was an honest mistake. I do apologize again to everyone involved. And it certainly will not happen again. So I'm just kind of here to take my lumps follow my sword, if you will, and just assure the commission that it won't happen again, and we are sorry for that.
All right. Michelle, any comments?
No, I don't have any comments.
All right. Nathan, anything to say to Mr. Andrade?
No, I don't have anything.
Patrick, anything?
No, I have no comments.
Okay. So again, Mr. Andrade, it's my belief that in order to make sure that this doesn't happen again, that we will tweak our regulations to make it explicit that orders of condition, or frankly, anything that the board issues that involves an appeal period not be recorded until the appeal period runs. And that we have, and this again, I'm speaking only for myself, but I'm going to recommend this to my commission, and they can do as they see fit. That anyone who obtains an order of conditions from us provides a certification that in fact they will comply with and not record that document until the appeals period has run. So that's all I have to say, sir.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, on our agenda, we have received some complaints. There are tree cutting complaints that I admit have been pending for some time, and we just have to get out there and do them. There was also a complaint relating to cutting in the wetlands at 18 Sunrise Avenue. I don't know that anyone, as I look at the list of people who are attending this public hearing, I do not see if there's anyone, either the owner at 18 Sunrise Avenue or the abutter at 25 Sunrise Avenue, are here to present their case. If neither of them is here to carry on or to present their case, I would suggest this matter be continued, also be continued to our next public hearing on April 28th. So I would like to have some discussion, though, about the topic I raised with Mr. Andrade. And I did want to survey the board to see if you believe it is necessary to put in a specific provision or section in our regulations that discusses the requirement that nothing that we issue be recorded until an the applicable appeals period has run its course. So I'm going to again go through the list. Michelle, do you have any comments or thoughts about that?
How often has this ever happened in the past?
This was, as far as I know, this was the very first time.
And I mean, and how cumbersome will that be for us, or for anybody else going forward? Is it cumbersome for us? Is it, will it be a bigger problem? Or is it just going to be easy? Like we'll just add it to an order of conditions as we go? Will that just be part of it?
What I was thinking, instead of actually adding it to the DEP form, I was thinking that we actually we can prepare a simple document, a certification that can be signed by the applicant or the representative of the applicant. It may not even be necessary to have it notarized, although I like notarized documents. But I think if someone writes down or certifies that they are going to comply with the law, as they should anyway, they will be less inclined not to violate it. That's my thought.
I agree. And it seems like he did it, realistically by accident. I mean, and again, we all have bad days some days, but, and again, if you feel it's something that we need, I'll back you on it. But again, I mean, if it's the first time that it's ever happened that you know of in, however many years, I'm good with it. I mean, like I said, if you feel that we need this, well, I'll go along with it.
Well, I appreciate that. And what I was also going to say is, Tom Fallon's not here, Allison's not here. Tony's not here, so I would rather, we have closer to a full complement of members, and we can discuss it at that time. So, I think this is a topic that we can continue discussing, and maybe get some clarity as we go forward. Ginger,
Right.
you had a comment?
There is somebody else that does do it.
What's that?
Records them before 10 days.
Oh, is that Ms. Kravosky? Yeah, so apparently there was some email communication about 2 weeks ago when out of the blue Mr. Kravosky appeared in our email trail. And apparently I was advised, and he's not here tonight, but apparently he was under the impression, maybe through DEP, that it was that they had more of a laissez-faire attitude about recording it while the 10-day period, before the 10-day period had run. I take deadlines seriously. I take appeal periods seriously. I know, in my practice that, deadlines mean something, and that if you jump the gun on something, there's a potential that someone who may in fact wish to contest an issue doesn't get the opportunity to be heard. And I think we want to avoid that at all costs. So.
Agreed. I agree with you on that. Like, I agree with you. If it says 10 days that you have to appeal any decisions that we make, then yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I didn't think that it happened that often. So I had not heard of it before. So that's why I was like, oh, well,
And again, from my point of view, a 10-day period doesn't strike me as being particularly onerous. It's not a long period of time to wait.
Right.
So, Nathan, any thoughts or comments?
No, I agree. I mean, we shouldn't have to, tell people to follow the rules, but if there's something that we need to make more apparent or more visible, then we should take those steps.
Understood. And Patrick, you get the last word, sir.
With that, I think Nathan took the words right out of my mouth. I think that though it is somewhat cumbersome for us to have to remind people rules, regulations, or laws, I think making it more apparent can just lessen the chance of it happening again in the future. So I'm in support of having a document that's signed, just so all parties are clear as to what the rule and reg is.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't think it's probably a 1 or 2 sentence statement, basically, or certification. So I don't think it would not be a particularly onerous thing for them to sign. And like, as you've indicated, we're asking them to do something that they should be doing anyway. So I don't see I don't think that's particularly cumbersome or onerous. But again, I would like to get the input of the other members of the commission. So my suggestion is that we continue our conversation on this to our next meeting. And having said that, is there any new business? All right. There being none, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Okay, Michelle, thank you. Is there a second?
This is Nathan. I'll second.
Okay, and I think for a motion to adjourn, I can take just ask for a showing of hands, if you will, or showing of voices. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, aye too. It's a vote. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for your attendance. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and enjoy the good weather. Good night.
Thanks, you too. Good night.
Thank you. Take care.